Cardiff versus Chelsea. Can Chelsea keep their winning run going, or could Cardiff get their first win of the season? What will Cardiff's approach be? Go for it like they did against Arsenal, or sit back like all teams seem to be doing against us these days? And will Christensen and or Giroud get a start? To find out about all of that and everything else you need to know about both sides ahead of tomorrow's game, make sure you watch this preview until the end. Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Chelsea versus Cardiff City game in the 5th round of the Premier League. And thank God the international break is over. No more Nations League, no more friendlies, none of that silly, crap anymore that none of us really care about. Now it's actually back to what we actually do care about, which is the Premier League, which is Chelsea Football Club. So, obviously it is the game against Cardiff, and to be honest, I'm quite looking forward to it in all honesty. But of course, this is the preview. There will be a review tomorrow. There will be fan cams. There will be a vlog. There is, of course, midweek content. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, do make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea. We will also cover all the Europa League games and all the Cup games as well. So like I said, do make sure you subscribe. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads. And also, let's set ourselves a like target again on this video. And let's see whether we can hit 700 or more likes on this video. That'd be massively appreciated. So if you could smash the like button down below, that'd be absolute class. But now actually getting into the video by speaking about our opposition Cardiff. So after 4 games, they're on 0 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats, which then obviously gives them 2 points, which with their 2 goals scored and 5 goals conceded, puts them into 16th at the moment. Their defeats came away at Bournemouth on the first day of the Premier League season, losing 2-0, and a 3-2 defeat against Arsenal in Cardiff before the international break, plus 2 0-0 draws in between against both Newcastle and Huddersfield. Cardiff manager Neil Warnock seems to be setting his side up in a 4-4-2 formation most of the time, and judging by what he said in his press conference today, it doesn't seem like he's planning to change that for facing us tomorrow, and is most likely going to start Bobby Reid and Danny Ward up front together again. And Warnock has also made some very interesting comments both after their game against Arsenal and also this week as well. He basically said that Cardiff aren't good enough to just shut up shop and get a result against the best teams. They aren't good enough to defend like that, and even if they try to defend, just with every man they've got, they will lose anyway, so they might as well go for it and basically give their fans something to enjoy, which, basically almost worked against Arsenal as they lost 3-2 and, came back to equalise twice in the game. But still, I suppose that kind of worked for them. Their fans had something to enjoy because they didn't score in the league previously to that game. So, like I said, I suppose it worked. But, if they do that against us, good luck. Because even the 2 goals they did score were massively helped by some awful mistakes by the Arsenal team, in all honesty. Whether there was Cech, whether there was, I think, Xhaka who gave the ball away very cheaply in midfield that led to a Cardiff goal. So, I'm not sure just because it almost worked against Arsenal. That's why it will work against Chelsea as well, especially, playing Arsenal at their place and playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge are 2 very different things. But also Neil Warnock in his press conference today said that he doesn't want to leave Stamford Bridge without having at least a shot on target kind of thing. So he sure seems to be sticking with what he, with the approach of going for it rather than just trying to defend but ending up losing anyway, which, he thinks would happen. So like I said, before the Arsenal game, they didn't actually manage to score in the Premier League. So for 3 games, they couldn't get a goal. And I did watch some of their games against Newcastle and Huddersfield, and it didn't necessarily look like they just tried to play 0-0 and just tried to get as many points somehow by drawing. Basically, it just seeed to me that they just weren't good enough to score. But then they scored 2 goals against Arsenal, like I said, helped by mistakes by Arsenal, but still, that could somehow give them, a lot of confidence, I suppose. But playing Arsenal at home, like I said, is not the same thing as playing Chelsea away from home. One advantage that they do certainly have is that they obviously have much fewer players going away on international duty than we did, which of course gave them time to train, but also time to conserve fitness and energy with possibly, easier training sessions, a few days off, and no flying around Europe, let alone the players, from other continents, which that affects even more so. But to be honest, there's not that much more to say about Cardiff. They haven't scored before the Arsenal game. They did quite well in that. Maybe deserved the draw. I don't know. Some Arsenal fans would probably disagree. I think, they could have gotten the draw from it. Not necessarily deserved it, but they could have. So it will be interesting to see how much confidence, playing like that against Arsenal gave them. But I still think we are and should be the favourites. But that's really about, Cardiff, like I said. And now let's get into Maurizio Sarri's press conference. And first of all, it started off with team news. And Sarri said that Fabregas is now back fit and trained with the rest of the team during the week. Now he only has to improve his fitness level, which obviously suffered from being injured for over a month, basically. And in a few days or a week, he will be ready to play. Sarri said that Fabregas might be able to, be on the bench tomorrow, but maybe 2 more days of training instead of being on the bench would be even better for him. Possibly he might then start at PAOK in midweek. We'll have to wait and see. But, that will certainly be interesting whether Fabregas will make the bench tomorrow or not. Plus, yesterday there have also been some health issues coming up for both Zappacosta and Emerson Palmieri in form of a fever. Both were, of course, with Italy this past week, so I truly hope that Jorginho is completely fine and won't, wake up with a fever tomorrow morning, because Jorginho is obviously extremely crucial to our game, especially with Fabregas injured, who I still believe would be Jorginho's backup in that position. And it has also been reported that Loftus-Cheek picked up a foot injury while playing with England against Switzerland, on Tuesday, was it? I think so. And will be out for 2 weeks. Now, Sarri didn't make that injury as clear and as, serious, even though 2 weeks isn't serious in the first place. But the way Sarri said it, because he said that there is a problem with Loftus-Cheek after the game with England, but he said that he still needs to speak to the doctor and see the last training session to know whether Ruben could possibly even play. So, hopefully those reports were inaccurate and he won't be out for 2 weeks. And maybe he will even be fit to start, or at least be involved at PAOK on Thursday. That'd be very good. And now coming to basically the biggest thing I'm going to talk about in this preview, even if it isn't about the game actually, because over the last few days, reports have come out about John Terry possibly joining Chelsea as part of Maurizio Sarri's coaching staff right now, not just next season or in a few years, but like kind of now or very soon anyway. And Sarri said that when he last spoke to Terry, John said that he wanted to continue playing for at least one more season, or for one more season. But now that he obviously turned down that offer by Spartak Moscow in midweek, and obviously his possible move to Sporting Lisbon, not coming to fruition, maybe there is a chance of this happening. And Sarri did make it very clear that he does want John Terry as part of the staff. And in the press conference today, he said multiple times that Chelsea is Terry's home. I mean, we all know that. But, Sarri also said that Terry would be a reference point both for Sarri himself, but also everyone else at the club. The boss then continued by saying that if John wants to continue playing for another season, he thinks it's right for him to try. But if he does want to help Chelsea, Sarri would be very, very happy about it. But he did make it clear that he only wants him as part of the coaching staff and not as a player, because he wants to have space for young players like, for example, Ethan Ampadu. And honestly, I really truly hope that this does happen. Like Sarri though, if John Terry does want to continue playing for another year, he should. But if he's fine with retiring, oh please John, please just come home. Please just come back, because, I think that also didn't help us last season with our issues, whether that was with, between the squad and Conte, but just the presence. Like Sarri said that in the press conference as well, just John Terry being around, just his presence would be of a massive help to Sarri himself and the team as a whole. So I'd massively be in favour of it. Whether it will happen or not, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like Sarri said, it probably just depends on John Terry, but Sarri certainly made it clear that he wants it. Now coming to the next story, and if you didn't know, Ethan Ampadu was called up to the Welsh first team this international break, but he wasn't just called up. He started both of their games, and both of them were in the Nations League, no friendlies. And he was also playing in midfield rather than in defence, where he usually plays at Chelsea, if he does play. And especially in their 4-1 win over Ireland, my God, was Ethan Ampadu good. I didn't manage to see the whole game, but I watched some extended highlights and I looked up some stats and stuff. That was impressive, and he also assisted Aaron Ramsey's goal with a very good assist and run. Very impressive. And also, following that then, Sarri was asked about the game time for the Welshman, for Ampadu. And Sarri said that in the future, he thinks he will be able to give, the likes of Ampadu space and time on the pitch. And the same goes for Hudson-Odoi and also Loftus-Cheek. But he did say, especially in the beginning of the season, it was important for him not to make too many changes, especially in the defensive line. But he does hope that he can make more changes in the future. On our opposition Cardiff tomorrow, Sarri said, and I quote, "I think tomorrow will be a very difficult game. The match after the break is always very difficult, mentally, but also we play against a very physical team. If we want the points, we must play a very good game tomorrow." And lastly, Maurizio Sarri was asked about the captaincy decision, which he said a few weeks ago would be made during the first international break. And the boss said that basically he has decided who he wants as his captain, but first he wants to speak both to the players and also the club. And, basically said that he will inform the media and the fans once those talks have been held. Now, firstly, when he said that, I would have thought that meant we'll just find out tomorrow, because he'll speak to the players and the club, between tomorrow and kickoff, between now and kickoff tomorrow, basically. But then Sarri said that for the moment, Azpilicueta is still the captain. So I don't know really what's happening. I don't know whether we'll see our final captain on Thursday against PAOK or on the weekend in the next game. We'll have to wait and see. And in all honesty, I don't really mind whether it's Azpilicueta or Hazard, because I think those two are the main two candidates. I mean, between Azpi and Hazard, I think to basically convince Hazard of signing a new deal, making him captain would help and could, kind of lean him towards signing a new deal. And I think Azpi would totally understand that, basically for a reason, because I'm sure Azpi wants to keep Hazard at Chelsea as well. And also Hazard is captain for Belgium, of Belgium, and seems to be doing a good job at that. So, like I said, I don't really mind. I would, if it does help us make it, making Hazard sign a new deal, that's great. If, we have to make a captain for that, I think that's fully worth it. Even if Aspie possibly deserves it more and is more suited to be a captain the way we like a captain, the way a bit more like Terry was, because Hazard certainly isn't a vocal captain. He doesn't want to shout around on the pitch and tell people what to do. And not that Aspilicueta is anywhere like John Terry in that, sense, as vocal, as shouty, as commanding, if you will. But he's certainly more so than Eden Hazard is. But that's it from the press conference, and now getting into Chelsea. But before getting into the lineup that I think will start tomorrow, I just want to mention the stupidity of the international break, like it is at the moment. Why are teams playing on Thursday and Tuesday, and then the players only going back to their clubs on bloody Wednesday? Like, what on earth is that logic? I'm sorry, like, play on Thursday or Friday, and then Sunday or Monday, and at least give the players time to go back to their clubs on Tuesday, so they actually have time to prepare for their next game. Like, the Nations League is better than friendlies. I do understand that, I do agree with that, but it's still not league football. It's not where these players earn their wages. Like, even the players don't really care about, these Nation League games all that much, because, yes, you could possibly qualify for the Euros directly, but even if you don't, you still have a normal qualifiers to go, so it's not that big a deal, really. And like I said, the nations, the international teams don't pay wages. Yes, they kind of pay the money, I suppose, but it's not who pays their wages. And it's definitely not the competition that fans around the world watch the most. So surely we should kind of favour the league competitions rather than favouring these useless international games that no one gives a fuck no one gives a fuck about anyway. Like, let's be honest, no one cares. Like, yes, we watched them because England-Spain was quite an interesting game, but it wasn't that interesting. Like, come on, it's not as interesting as when Chelsea play. Like Tottenham, because that's a big game, or like Liverpool or whatever. No, it isn't. So what are we doing? Why are they only coming back on Wednesday? Like Willian, for example. Well, he didn't start either of Brazil's games and only played around 30 minutes in each game. He played the second game of the break in the early hours of Wednesday morning UK time, obviously Tuesday evening local Brazilian time or wherever they played, and probably got to London late on Wednesday, Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, and is now jet lagged. Like, what on earth is the point? Like, I'm sorry I'm going off here, but what on earth is the point? Either way, enough about this round. Let's get into the team that I think that will start tomorrow. And in all honesty, I'm not expecting any changes from the team that started our last two games. On Thursday against PAOK, then I do expect some changes by Sarri, but not for tomorrow. So I think it will yet again be Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, the fullbacks being Cesar Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso, the two centre-backs, Antonio Rudiger and David Luiz, a midfield three of Jorginho, N'Golo Conte and Mateo Kovacic, and then, the front three being Eden Hazard on the left, Pedro on the right, and Alvaro Morata starting up front. And actually, as I'm saying that, I just realised that there is a change from the Bournemouth game, because I think that Pedro will start over Willian this time, because obviously Willian started against Bournemouth over Pedro, which at the time I didn't really understand why that was the case. But tomorrow I expect Pedro to start both, because obviously Willian, like I just mentioned, is probably jet lagged. And also, Pedro didn't even, travel with Spain. He was a Cobham, so, that's also an advantage to Pedro. But also just form-wise, like Pedro has done very, very well so far. Not that Willian has been awful, but he hasn't been anywhere near as good as Pedro. So I think and I hope that Pedro will start. But in all honesty, I don't think Christensen will come into the team, and the same goes for Olivier Giroud. I don't think so. Yes, maybe you can make a shout for Christensen, although Luiz was obviously with, at Cobham, or, took a few days off, I suppose, as well, but was with Sarri and the rest of the squad that remained at Cobham, and Christensen went out with Denmark, even though a few days later than originally planned. But still, so I don't think any of that is going to happen. And to be honest, I'm very much looking forward to that game, especially if Neil Warnock does stick to his word and Cardiff will go for it rather than just defend. Because if they do, I reckon we could very much enjoy ourselves in that game, because the main difficulty for us with Cardiff will definitely be the physicality, as we're definitely not a very physical team anymore these days. But them going for it would certainly, like most certainly, leave space for us to attack and hopefully to enjoy Sarri ball properly. Like, we always have to pass it sideways, just find a gap. People always complain about sideways passing. That's how football works. When the other team defends with 11 men, you pass it sideways, you shift the other team around until you find a gap. And, if the other team defends well, you struggle to find a gap, but that's just what it is. But if the opponent doesn't just defend with 10 men behind the ball, well, we'll have more space and then we could enjoy more beautiful football. And I think it could also mean a good game and more involvement, chances and also goals for Alvaro Morata, which we all know that he needs and that we all want to see, especially after he didn't feature for a single minute on the pitch, with Spain. He was called up, he was with the squad, but didn't play at all. So, that didn't do him well, I think. So I really hope that he can have a good game and maybe get a goal or two. That would be very good. And if Cardiff do go for it, like Neil Warner calls it, I think there's a good chance of that happening. Like I said before, there isn't that much that we need to adapt to our opponent under Sarri. We just need to play our football. Move the ball, move ourselves around quickly as well. And that way we will create chances and score goals, in my opinion. And adding to that, we'll hopefully also be defensively improved. Being up against two strikers, which, Cardiff are most likely to go with tomorrow, Rudiger and Luiz will have to be both careful, when passing it out from the back, especially if Cardiff do decide to press a little bit with their strikers. And also, we can't afford any lapses of concentration like we saw from Luiz in the last two games, because, if there's two centre-backs against two strikers, both of them going to have a bit more of a busy day. But yeah, coming to my prediction, I think we'll score a few, but I also think that we'll concede one, especially if Cardiff go for it. If they don't, we might win it just about, kind of like the last few games. But if they do go for it, I think we'll score a few, but we won't keep a clean sheet because, like Sarri said in the press conference, we're not that solid yet. And, that has to improve still. So, I think if they do go for it, Arsenal conceded 2. So I think we're probably going to concede 1 as well if they do so. But my score prediction will either be a 3-1 or a 4-1 win. But let's go with a 3-1, just being a bit more realistic. Although it wouldn't surprise me at all if we did end up scoring 4 goals. But yeah, that's really it from me. Leave me all of your thoughts on this preview, on the video down in the comment section below ahead of the game. Leave me your score predictions. Leave me your predicted lineups. Leave me the lineups you would like to see start tomorrow. Leave me all of it down in the comment section below. Like I said in the beginning, let's see whether we can 700 or more likes on this video. That'd be massively appreciated. So make sure you smash that like button down below, especially if you enjoyed this video, of course. Also, don't forget to check out my social media, which is Last1507 on both Instagram and Twitter, as you can see over here, and also the links to both of them are down in the description below. So if you could follow me over there, I would massively appreciate that. And of course, it is YouTube, so if you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea, and also don't forget to click the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.